What is going on, New York Giant fans? Welcome back to another Roster Bubble Series video. Hope you guys are well. Hit the like button, comment, and subscribe. Turn on post notifications so you know when a live stream pops video drops. Appreciate you all coming back. Share this out. Do all the good stuff. Appreciate you guys coming back. Going to do a lot of different things over the course of training camp. I will be there for a couple of days. So with that being said, stay tuned for all the content. Another Roster Bubble Series video for you guys today. We're going to talk about Jalen Mayfield. But first, if you guys haven't been in here before, we take a player that's on the cusp of being cut. We talk about their background, their competition, ways they can win a spot on the roster, ways they can lose a spot on the roster, and at the end, a prediction. So Jalen Mayfield is our profile today. 24 years old, 6'5", 320. Was a third-round pick out of Michigan in 2021 by the Atlanta Falcons. And he actually played a solid amount for them in the first 2 years because there was offensive line shuffling, this, that, and the third. He was an Arthur Smith draft pick, but statistically, let's take a look. He started 16 games in his rookie year. 2022, nothing. 2023, 3 games with the Giants, and that was pretty much that. As far as 2022, what happened? He missed it because of injured reserve, and that was that. But nonetheless, as far as what he did in 2023 with the Giants, 5 pressures and 32 pass blocking snaps, and we'll get to quotes and stuff like that. But he struggled over the course of his NFL career. There's really no doubt about that. If we're looking up the PFF statistics on 2021 for Jalen Mayfield, and I get it, he was a rookie and all that, but he was definitely a weak link in their offensive line. He allowed the most sacks in the NFL among interior offensive linemen with 11 and had 9 penalties in 989 total snaps. So that's not good. And then 2022 doesn't play. 2023 is not good. But he's a guard and a tackle. He played tackle a little bit at Michigan. He also was a defensive player in high school, but nonetheless, he plays more guard. Now, one thing that could suit him well is the fact that last year the Giants ran more zone blocking on run plays in terms of, how they style their offense, and Brasillo might do it differently. Brasillo very well could come in and do more of a gap system, which does fit Jalen Mayfield more. Now, I'm going to take this reading, an excerpt from, I think it's Andrew Parsaud or Brandon Olson of Sports Illustrated, because they were doing a profile on Jalen Mayfield. Brasillo was coming over from a Raiders offense that ran zone blocking schemes on 49% of their run plays. Last season, the Giants ran zone blocking schemes on 61% of their run plays. Last year, Mayfield was only on the field for 3 gap blocking runs, but picked up a PFF grade of 67.8, whereas his 9 zone blocking runs got a grade of 35.2. Mayfield simply isn't athletic enough to be consistent, positive contributor for an offense that's going to rely heavily on running a zone blocking scheme unless it's inside zone. So there, pretty much tells you. I know, obviously, we've talked in the past about crack toss and a lot of these other different things the Giants want to run in terms of outside and zone running. Mayfield is not going to be a fit for that. So if they do make the switch for Mayfield to be a tackle or a guard or whatever position they want, but if they do make a switch to a gap scheme, more in terms of running, then it does fit Jalen Mayfield. And his experience, it does get tacked on. But nonetheless, what is his competition going to look like? Yadni Kajusti, tackle. Matt Nelson, tackle. Marcellus Johnson, tackle. Josh Azudu, tackle and guard. Josh Miles, tackle. Jimmy Morrissey, guard. Jake Kubas, guard. Marcus McKeithen, tackle and guard. And as far as Mayfield goes, yeah, he did play a full season. Actually, almost a full season 2 years ago, because that was the first season of 17 games. And then he played 3 last year, but that wasn't a great sample size because he was just downright terrible. But his snap percentage was downright puny. How can he win? Position versatility. I think that's going to be one of the biggest things in terms of how he makes this roster, because you see a lot of NFL teams, they struggle with getting guards and tackles and guys that can be interchangeable. Now the Giants do have the potential to stretch guys. Josh Azudu, Marcus McKeithen, they've both played tackle. They've both played guard. Matt Nelson's only played tackle. Kajusi, I think, could play a little bit of guard in a pinch. There's another guy I was thinking of, and I totally lost his name. But there's a few guys in the Giants roster that can flip guard and tackle. For other NFL teams, they may look for that, and the Giants may have some of these guys go down in training camp, or they may just play really bad. So position versatility as a swing tackle or guard, a lot of teams in the NFL look at that, and they want that. So Jalen Mayfield, how he makes this roster or any roster, that's just going to be one of the things. Number 2, adjusting weaknesses with Carmen Brasil. There's not really much you could do about athleticism. That's just a trait that you are given, an attribute, and he's probably not going to be able to adjust that unless he slims down. But then again, that limits some other things you can do. An improvement in zone or adjustment to a gap scheme. Again, we don't know what Carmen Brasil is going to run, and it's only a simple installment. It's not like a complete installment. It's only a simple installment of the playbook that the Giants will run, whether it's blocking schemes or a playbook in general. But an improvement in zone would be big because that makes him, what was I going to say? That makes him, I would say, versatile, for lack of a better word, in the blocking schemes. They won't be able to say, oh, he only just works in man. He could work in both. An adjustment to the gap scheme, maybe Brasillo does something different that Dwayne Ledford did or didn't do, whatever, in Atlanta, and maybe it's better. Maybe it's worse for Jalen Mayfield. But an improvement in zone blocking or an adjustment to the gap scheme that Brasillo could run, if he does run that. It's not a guarantee. How can he lose? Injury, I think that's definitely big because 2022 he did not play, so getting injured wouldn't help. I think he also got injured in the Dolphins game, if I'm not mistaken, for a little bit and then came back in. Lack of adjustment to the gap zone system. Not being good in zone is one thing, and again, we don't know if the Giants are going to run gap or zone predominantly, but if he's not good in gap, that's pretty much it for him because he's not athletic. Gap, you don't have to move around a lot. And if it's a technique issue at that point and the Giants have a zillion other guys to worry about, they're not going to worry about Jalen Mayfield. They'll just let him play and he'll be on another team or maybe even off the roster just generally in no time. Outdueled in 1v1s joint practices, lack of position versatility. I think that a lot of guys are quiet, but a lot of guys are, productive in training camp when you look at offensive linemen. Sometimes you'll see a guy like Josh Revis or this, that, and the third, whatever. You pick out a lineman, and you see in one-on-ones that they win some reps, they lose some reps, but they're not productive. They're quiet. As far as Devery Hamilton was a few years ago, he's a guy that stood out because he was playing really well against NFL-grade pass rushers. And he had some miscues here and there, but he was noticed. His reps were noticeable, and that's how he got a roster spot, and that's how you could say for Jalen Mayfield. They're actually kind of alike players because they both play guard, they both play tackle too, in a pinch. Lack of position versatility relating to that, I think that's going to be one of the biggest things, one of the biggest kicks in the ass for Mr. Jalen Mayfield is if he can't play both because there's going to be injuries, right, to this offensive line room. It could happen to this guy, it could happen to that guy, whoever it may happen to. He's got to be ready. He's got to be ready to step in when the Giants need him to. And if he's not going to be able to do it at tackle or guard or whatever position they want him to turn to, and he doesn't know how to block in a certain blocking scheme, that's going to be bad for him. And I think this is one of his last chances to make an NFL roster, in my personal opinion, not just being a schmuck off the street or a practice squad guy. The reason he's with the Giants is because he was a third-round pick. Not of the Giants, of course, but he was a higher pick than most, and the Giants obviously were very, very much desperate for offensive linemen, and they brought him in, and he played a couple of snaps through the course of the 23 season. They weren't good, but now there's increased competition, there's increased talent, and Mayfield needs to step it up at the plate. Overall, I do have him getting cut, though. I feel like the Giants could stick him on the practice squad because he does have the guard tackle versatility, but I just see a guy like Matt Nelson making it, and then Zudu and McKee then probably getting another shot. Like, comment, subscribe, turn on post notifications so you know when a live stream pops or a video drops. Appreciate y'all coming back. Peace out, guys. See you later. Stay cool.